If you think about when you go home at night and you have conversations with your family or friends, you'll tell stories about your day, you'll tell stories about what's coming up, you'll tell stories about what's happened. And so we typically communicate through stories. And then we get into this corporate environment, we get into this weird, stilted, formal, fact-based dot point communication. And it's hard to relate to for a person who's trying to adopt something and turn it into a behaviour. They can't get a sense of it, they can't get a feel for it, they can't see it. And so story helps translate that idea, that concept, into how does a person live and breathe it. And that's really why storytelling is so important. So my name is Erica Bagshaw. I'm the co-founder of Inner Profit and the Colin James Method, which is a communication methodology that really elevates corporate communication to a gold standard. So there's a range of options that we work with to make sure that the people who are participating in our programs can get the maximum benefit, whether they are somebody who's employed out in a region where they don't have a team around them, or whether they're in a central hub where there's lots of people around them. We tailor our programs to be able to meet all of the different needs. So every organisation has their own objectives and their own challenges, and so one of the things we pride ourselves on as an organisation is to deeply immerse ourselves into what is it that you need specifically and what will make the difference, so that anything that we design is shaped for them. One of our financial services clients, they had a lot of grads going through a program, but it was a global program and it was too costly to fly everybody in, so we would do live webinars with some people physically in the room, but also people in all sorts of different locations around the world. We also design, bespoke longer programs, shorter programs, master classes. We would deliver things online, deliver live. So there's a specific example in the banking sector where, of course, in Australia, we've had the Royal Commission, and there's a huge magnifying glass on the culture of the organisations and the fact that they need to get those values off the wall and into everyday behaviour on a consistent level right across the organisation. So we're working with 320 employees of various grades. And so we had to tailor and design a program that was going to help everyone feel like they could not just tell a story, but really shape it and make it relevant and meaningful to the audience that they were going to be communicating to in whatever context. The first thing that we saw was an uptick in confidence. The second level was, how do they tell conversational stories around how the values live and breathe in the day-to-day in their specific work area. And they were also able to, we did lots of different exercises and fun things so that they got that experience and they got to do it with their colleagues and realised, actually it's really achievable, and it doesn't have to be complex and it doesn't have to be hard. It can be an everyday conversation to be able to do this. So they got a real visceral experience that was the case. There's always an apprehension around introducing something into a time when everyone's under pressure and everyone's busy trying to do things, and they might feel like this is being imposed on them. And so we worked around that, and we made sure that we tailored it to a time that was achievable. It wasn't onerous, it didn't feel like they had to leave their workplace for a long period of time. But also we made it opt-in, so it wasn't mandated, there was an invitation. And so that took away that feeling of being made to attend something. So when people need to envision the future and they're already busy and they're a bit under pressure, it's really hard for them to fire up the imagination and to conceive and perceive what it will be like once they're through the transition and the transformation. And so storytelling is incredibly important to help an organisation help their employees navigate that process, because ultimately behaviour change only happens when people are talking about it, acknowledging it and confirming it on a consistent basis. And story does that in a way that posters on a wall or telling people what you expect just won't do. It doesn't cut it anymore. There's too much noise. We need people to feel it in themselves, to get a sense of how it works in their day-to-day, and to be able to live and breathe it and tell their own story.